I figured I'd tell some Sarah stories. Hopefully I won't break down. Mostly. So Sarah um, came to me in 2012 in February. In January of 2012, I'd had a traumatic brain injury that left me with classic post-concussion syndrome, which included a 24/7 migraine, sensitivity to light, sensitivity to sound, making it worse. It was, and the pain of the migraine on a scale of 0 to 10 was about a 35. So that was every day, anytime I was awake. The only time I was not dealing with that was when I was asleep. There were other things like no short-term memory whatsoever. Fortunately, that rewired. And but it took about 5 years for all of this to start fading. Start fading. Yeah. And every once in a while I get reminders. Uh, and there was also personality. I mean, it was the whole 9 yards, classic textbook case. So in February, we were getting an ice storm. My neighbor was at the courthouse doing some filing of papers, and he found this little puppy in the courthouse parking lot. And she followed him to his car, and he couldn't leave her there. He couldn't take him inside his house because he had a dog that was dog aggressive. So he wanted me to take her, and I said, no, no. I can barely take care of myself at this point. I can't handle, I can't, no. So she stayed in his garage the night the storm hit. It went down to 15 with a wind chill of God knows what. Um, and I stayed up all night worrying about her. So I should have just gone and gotten her, but I didn't because I was trying to not. Anyhow, he brought her over, and I sat on the floor, and first thing she did was to come over to me, crawl into my lap, turn around, and go to sleep. Okay, I'll foster her. Right. So that was the beginning of the end, and she became part of my life. And this picture was early on, and it was a lucky accident because I had just gotten a new camera and she had never seen a camera before. And so she was sniffing at it, and I was holding it out here, and she was sniffing at the lens, and so I just hit the button and hoped I would get something, and I got this, and it's my favorite picture ever. So lucky accident. Um, Little golden eyes, and so I called her Sarah because Stevie Nicks, Fleetwood Mac. Um, Big Stevie Nicks fan, as anybody who knows me knows already. Um, and she was the poet in my heart. And I really hoped she would never change and never stop. She wasn't perfect as a puppy. The one thing that she did that drove me absolutely nuts for about 4 years was she would tear up the bed in her crate. She didn't like being left in her crate. So, but at the time I was working, so there wasn't really an option. So I went from expensive bedding for her to $3 Walmart pillows real fast. So we went through a fair number of those. And she loved to play tug of war and tear up plastic balls. We went through a lot of those. And I was living in an apartment, which was no place for a dog, but I took her out 5 times, maybe 6 times a day. We did at least one long walk, and then the rest were potty stops, starting at 6 a.m., then breakfast for her, then another out. Then I would come home at lunch because I was able to do that. Had just enough time to get her out, put her back in, go back to work. And then I'd get home and we would go for a pee break. I'd give her dinner and then we'd go for a long walk. Or maybe I'd give her the long walk first and then give her dinner, just kind of depended. Um, and then there was an 8 o'clock and a 10 o'clock. So it was fun, especially when I was, running fever and sick and so forth. But, you got to do what you got to do. And she needed it. So I did it. Rain, shine, snow, sleet, hail, whatever. It was worth it. And walks are important for dogs, I learned. Because I think there was the first time that I was just, I mean, we did the bare minimum because I was so sick. And she literally, I've never seen a dog literally show the signs of depression. She did. I mean, it was more than 3 days without a walk is not good. It is their bonding time. It is their sniffing time. It is their checking pee meal time and leaving pee meal. It's important for a dog. And I will say this, I watch so many people, that is their bonding time with you. Get your nose out of the phone and pay attention to the freaking dog. I see people dragging their dogs along with their nose in their phone without, the dog's trying to stop and sniff something. That's important to them. That's how they communicate with the world. Make the walk about the dog. It's what it should be. You're not just exercising them. It's more than that to them. Let them sniff, let them do their thing, and pay attention to them so that you know what's going on with them. People. Anyway, rant over. So as she grew up, I mean, she was such a part of my life. And it was my neighbor dumped her in my lap because he knew I was ready for suicide. The migraines were so incredibly intense and bad. They didn't seem like they were ever going to end. And they didn't for 5 years. And that was a long freaking time. I can't tell you how bad it was. And I was ready to just, I actually asked him to build me a guillotine before she came along. And I wasn't kidding. I was like, go to Home Depot, get some sheet metal, get it done. You're a handy fix it guy and you like projects. Here's one for you. And he kept refusing. So instead, he drops a puppy in my lap and makes me responsible for another being, which he knew would keep me going and keep me fighting because, yeah. So thank you and screw you at the same time, kind of. I don't mean to sound ungrateful, but I was really wanting it was time. Um, but I couldn't because now I'm responsible for this little life. Um, Looking much bigger in the picture. So that is what kept me here and is why I'm sitting here now. And I have 3 others. Um, because frankly, if they weren't here, I kind of shot myself in the foot with Greta because she's younger. So it's another, 12 years now, maybe, if I'm lucky. So she became my close companion. She got me through a lot of stuff. And so I knew when we were at 13 that we were the time the clock was ticking. So unfortunately, that's probably when things kind of went downhill with the spine for me again. And so walks became less frequent, which didn't do her any good because I mean, literally 2 weeks without a walk, and you could see this dog being depressed. I mean, you could see the depression in her face. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. Too much crying. So, the last few months, it's been a rough ride. She had some issues with pancreatitis at one point, and who knows when that came back. I don't know. And just over the last couple of weeks, she kind of stopped drinking. She stopped eating. Well, not a couple of weeks. It was about a week, really. Um, she started sleeping a lot. Uh, but she was older, so yeah. But when she stopped, she started refusing food. And she had been doing something for a while where she would get on the bed, turn around, and then just literally drop. I mean, like shake the bed, drop. She wasn't laying down like the other ones were. And I mentioned that to the vet. God, was that a couple weeks ago? This all just happened so real fast, actually. I mean, there were signs where things were slowing down. But she was, older dog, so not unusual. But in the last couple of weeks, unusual. Um, when did I take her to the vet? It was last week, about 2 days before. Yeah. So I noticed that she had stopped, and every once in a while she would stop eating for a day or two, and that was for her normal. Um, Back when she had pancreatitis, it was longer than that, so I got her into the vet. That's how we discovered that. But she got to where I had not seen her drink in a while in the last week, and I had not. She was refusing food. Um, and I cook for the dogs. Usually ground turkey or ground chicken. I was doing beef, but that's what got her the pancreatitis, I think. A little too much fat there. So I switched over to turkey and chicken. So turkey, chicken, green beans, peas, sweet potato, blueberries, and riced cauliflower. Uh, was kind of doing the rice thing for a while, and then I discovered that rice has arsenic in it. So rice every day is going to end up poisoning your dog. So beware of the kibble that is, brown rice or rice. White rice has less of it in there, but it's still cumulative. And brown rice has a higher concentration. Didn't know that. Brown rice is supposed to be so healthy for you, right? Um, it's okay if we eat it once in a while because your body will metabolize it, but if it's a steady, consistent thing, it does build up. It will kill you. So there's my food stuff. And they get some supplements for joints and some vitamins and stuff to make sure they're getting everything. So yeah, my vet's very impressed that I cook for the dogs. She was like, "You do what?" I'm like, "Yeah." Because when Wolfric died, it was cancer, it was sudden, and when I learned what was in kibble, and that kibble was basically a carcinogen, and that's when I started cooking because I was trying to get him to eat, but it was too late. Um, and I miss him terribly. So Sarah was a joy and a delight. She was friendly with everybody and everything. She loved to watch birds. She would just sit there and watch birds or people gardening. One of the funny things that she did that I thought, this is interesting. We could not pass a trash bag full of leaves in a yard or full of garbage or full of anything. If it was a trash bag, we had to stop, and she would stop. And let me tell you, that girl could become a solid 5,000-ton object faster than you can say, well, what the heck? Um, and if she didn't want to go somewhere, she wasn't going anywhere, and you weren't going to get her to go there. So we had to stop, and she would go and sniff and poke at these trash bags. And the only thing, I've never seen a dog do that before. And it was you were not passing a trash bag without her making sure that there was nothing alive in it. And the only thing that I could think, maybe I'm anthropomorphizing too much. I don't think so. I think she was part of a litter that was dumped in a trash bag. She survived. Um, and she wanted to make sure that if there was ever anything else in a trash bag that might be alive, I really think that's what was going on. It's the only thing that really made sense for such behavior. And I remember her first Halloween. Oh my God, that was so hilarious. We're out walking at 10 o'clock at night, and she's never seen Halloween decorations before. And this yard had a bunch of gravestones and some body parts hanging from trees and sticking in the yard and pumpkins and so forth. And she stopped, and she was so funny because she wanted to go check it out, but she was afraid. The styrofoam tombstones were very scary. She would go tippy 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 tip back, tippy 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 tip back. Then she'd get a little closer and a little closer, and finally she tippy tippied up, bumped it with her nose, and jumped back. And I'm standing there. It's 10 o'clock at night. It's dark. These people are probably getting ready for bed, and I am so trying hard not to guffaw because it was the funniest freaking thing I've ever seen. And I wish to God I had video of it, but that I didn't have that kind of phone at that point. So it was the funniest thing. And it was every decoration she had to check out. Once we checked it out, she was fine with it. But it was that tippy 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 jump, tippy 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 jump, tippy tippy bump jump. That was just one of my treasured memories now. So when she stopped eating and so forth, I got her into the vet, and she found a heart arrhythmia. It was probably causing the problem, but the walks were slowing down too. Sarah still wanted to go on the long walks, but if just going around the full block here, that was enough to have her panting and slowing down. And I'm like, oh, honey, I would love to go on a long walk again. We hadn't been able to do it because of my health for the longest time. But now it was like, oh, I know, I know how it is to want to do things and think you can do them like you used to be able to, and then find out that no, you can't. It's very frustrating, and I know it was frustrating for her. So um, basically, when I got her to the vet, they gave me some medicine to try on her, and said, let to told me to call her in a week and see how things were going, whether things had improved. And I'm very fortunate to have a vet like Dr. Rollins. I've got a rapport with her, so um, she made some things happen that probably wouldn't ordinarily happen just a normal client. Anyway, um, and what she told me at the time that I kind of blocked out a little bit, but not completely, was that if the pills didn't work, then probably the kindest thing to do would be to let go. And I knew I knew she was trying to catch it very nicely. Bless her heart. I think she gets a lot of pushback from people, and unfortunately, I've been down all these roads before several times over, so I know the drill, and you don't really have to sugarcoat. But I appreciate the fact that she was trying to ease into it, shall we say. Um, my thing, I really wanted to let and hoped, for a nice, peaceful transition while she was asleep. Um, but I couldn't tell whether, and Sarah's always been stoic. I mean, she is the most stoic dog ever. Um, if she ever let out a whine or a whimper, you knew it was something really big and really painful. Uh, the only time I think I ever heard her was when after her spay, and then I found out that they had chopped off one of her nipples, and I didn't have enough pain medicine for her, and she was in that caused her a lot of pain, and so I heard her whimpering, and then so I'm so pissed about that. Anyway, anyhow, unfortunately, by the time I got the medicine for her, nothing was staying down. Um, any food she did try to eat a little bit, she would eat maybe a teaspoon, but that would come back up. I gave her a slice of turkey breast as a treat, and that came back up. I cooked rice and chicken for her, that came back up. And I went ahead and got the special diet dog food for pancreatitis for her, hoping that that might work. She ate it when she was at the vet's because I had to drop her off and they gave her a little bit of that. She ate it. And apparently it didn't come up then, but by the time she got home with me again, nothing was staying down. And I found her in the yard about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and she was out there heaving. So, and she didn't drink until, of course, the day I had made the decision and made the phone call to ease her out, keeping in mind that the flopping indicated pain, and the vet basically said, when I told the vet about the turning around and just flopping down, she said that that indicated that Sarah was in more pain than we realized. So, given the food situation, given that she couldn't keep anything down, I couldn't get the medicine in her. So, without being able to do that, I gave her the pills alone, and that came back up. So, I mean, keeping in mind what the vet said, keeping in mind, and I checked with everybody, including the person that brought her to me, and they were all pretty much, I think it's time, and it's not going to get better for her, and I don't think it's going to be a peaceful transition. And I remember that Dr. Rollins had said at one point that if we needed to do euthanasia, she could do it at home after asking me where I lived. That they don't do it often, but if you're close enough, they will. So I asked if she could do. I asked them to ask her if she could do it. I figured it might be a no because I know these things need to be scheduled and so forth, and that's what the receptionist told me. Um, Usually, I'll ask her, but I'll just let you know. Usually, we have to schedule these things out, and I'm like, yeah, how do you schedule death? I didn't say that out loud, but I thought it. Um, I'm so sorry that death does not run on a schedule. But I kind of figured, given the rapport that I have with Dr. Rollins, she came to see me in Oliver and knows about all this stuff. And, um, you know, she's a good friend as well as a vet. She did come. And, and of course, Sarah rallies just before and drinks a half a gallon of water. And so I'm calling to say, I don't know. She still refused food though. And that I think was the biggest thing. She still refused the food because I kept trying throughout the day, hoping I could cancel this. But basically, that said, well, I'll go ahead and come out and we'll assess when I get there. And basically, the one thing I had noticed is that Sarah's skull had sunk in. Um, and I knew it wasn't going to get better or easier for her. And so, about 6 o'clock yesterday, Sissy went into transition. I put the dogs in the other room. And then, because I wanted, one of the reasons that I wanted to do it at home, not just to minimize the stress. And Dr. Rollins said, yeah, I have to say, this was much less stressful than what I've seen happen in the office. And so she was glad that I did it that way. And I'm like, well, I wish I had done it with the other dogs. But I didn't have her as a vet then. And I didn't want to put Sarah through that stress of taking her to the office and stuff. Because then you really get a rally because they've got that adrenaline surge. And then you're really wondering, did I do the right thing? I mean, as it is, I'm still wondering. I don't think you ever. I don't think it goes away. It never has with any of the others. So, but I know I didn't want her in pain or suffering. So, uh, but she was the best dog ever. And I had, when I didn't know she was a pit, when Tom brought her over, and I was like, a pit? Why didn't you tell me? Hell no. As I had bought all the publicity. Um, and I was so wrong. And she taught me that. She was a pity, and she was the best dog, the friendliest of the bunch, I have to say. And she would have been a perfect service dog. There was an autistic girl in the neighborhood, and I was warned by a neighbor. He wasn't warning me about her autism, but that she has a tendency to run at you screaming in excitement when she sees a dog. Okay. Well, I wasn't sure how Sarah would react to that, so we'd managed to not have any encounters, but there was one day where I had forgotten and we walked down that street and I didn't see her that she was outside. And I hear doggy. And she did come running, but then she stopped and very nicely asked if she could pet the doggy. I said, yes, if you can be very calm and gentle with her. Yeah, because I knew that Sarah loved kids. She did love kids. And what I was afraid of more than anything else, that Sarah liked to jump up to give kisses. She was really a big kisser. And she wasn't jumping on you to get you, or she wouldn't run at you to get you. She was just excited to see you and she wanted to give kisses and she wanted to get close to your face. So I didn't want her jumping on the kid because that would knock her over. So that was why I was kind of trepidatious about the whole thing. It wasn't anything to do with the child. It was, I wasn't sure how Sarah would react. And so she came up, gentle as can be, very sweet girl, petted Sarah. Sarah actually, she didn't jump once. She sat on my foot and just stayed there and let the girl love on her. And she was as good as gold. I mean, as good as those golden eyes. And I was so impressed. And then here comes mom running out, going, I told you not to run it. And, and I was, be calm and everything. And I said, actually, she was very sweet, very good. She came up to her very calmly. And I was more afraid that Sarah might jump on her in enthusiasm. And Sarah's been very good It's all good. And so that just impressed the hell out of me. And I could take her to restaurants. We went to Starbucks, and a friend requested that I bring Sarah. And I was like, well, I don't know. I've never had her out in a public place like this before. I don't know how she'll behave. And she was good as gold. Didn't need to worry. I've never had to worry about Sarah. Now the rest, oh my God, that would probably be a circus. But Sarah was always good as gold, always. And there is definitely not a hole, an abyss with her absence. But I know she's running again and she's playing and she's not trapped in a body that's not working. So I asked the vet, um, I didn't have the other three dogs. I'd be asking for a shot too, but I do, so I can't. And they love me, and I love them too. I love all my babies. I've got Greta here at my feet, got Gypsy right behind me. Rhiannon's over in her crate, and it's been an adjustment for them. And what's so funny is one of the reasons to have it done at home, I think I started to say this, was so that they could say goodbye, because otherwise the other dogs have just disappeared. Just, oops, gone. So I wanted them to be able to say goodbye. Actually, it kind of gave a sniff. It was like, oh, okay. And we're more excited about the new people in the apartment. You know, I don't care. So I guess that part of it was more for me. I don't know. I don't know what I expected, but anyhow, it is weird. It is not right. The balance is off. But there you go. I can't say I didn't know it was coming. I just thought, she'd be 15 in August. I thought we'd at least make it to 15. But, and there's that little part of me. It's like, who knows? Maybe we could have. What shape would she have been in? I don't know. But even that last walk, she still wanted to keep going. But we were stopping, and she would have to just kind of stand and stare for minutes and minutes and minutes. Yeah, that wasn't really thinking. I knew she couldn't really do the old walk. She would take me on a walk for about it would be at least a mile. Some days there were 4 miles. And that's what she was used to. And that's what she'd wanted for the last year. And I wasn't able to do it because of my back and spine. And that sucks. It would have been nice to get one last decent walk in with her, but I let her down. Well, my body let us both down. So I do what I can do. That's all the Sarah for now. I'm sure there's probably a lot I've forgotten, but those were the highlights. I miss you, baby girl. I will always miss you. And I know that they are gifts on loan, but it's such a short time. And I know there's a point at puppyhood where you're like, oh, grow up already. Don't wish it away. Treasure it. Treasure every moment. Even the ones that annoy you, because it's the ones that annoy you that you'll miss the most and wish you still were annoyed by.